This episode is brought to you by Rad Scooter Deli on 6th Street. Craving something delicious in Paso Robles? Rad Scooter Deli on 6th Street has you covered. Enjoy tasty sandwiches, fresh salads, and smoothies like the Banana Nut Blast, my personal favorite. Kick back on the covered patio, sip on a cold beer and wine, and enjoy the easy parking. Order online for pickup or dine-in. And here's a treat. Use promo code PODCAST for $5 off your next order. That's podcast for $5 off your next order. Open daily from 6:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Rad Scooter Deli. Local flavor, fast and fresh. This episode is brought to you by the White Wave Wellness. Choose to live a healthy and fulfilling life. Wellness is more than being free from illness. It is a process of change and growth towards a mentally and physically healthy lifestyle. Reach out to Jennifer Hale to learn more about how this water can change your life. This episode is sponsored by Western Janitor Supply. They have cleaning supplies and equipment for any workplace. Call today at 805-238-2112. They provide an extensive line of chemicals, paper products, and floor equipment. Again, that's Western Janitor Supply, located in downtown Paso Robles. This episode is sponsored by Santos Bros Plumbing. Are you in need of a dependable and effective plumber you can trust? Look no further than Santos Bros Plumbing, your trusted local plumbers in Paso Robles, California. Call them now at 805-360-4679. That's Santos Bros Plumbing.
What are we talking about today?
You?
Me.
You. How do you know each other? Okay, so we're on the Paso.
We going way back.
We're on the Paso Robles podcast. I'm already recording, by the way.
Okay.
This is how I like to flow, and then I'll chop up the beginning. Don't worry. You didn't say anything incriminating to begin with, but
Yeah,
good.
So I have today Gina from Hambly Farms and Melanie Blankenship from Nature's Touch.
Mm-hmm.
You have a store. You have a lot of things going on. So we'll talk about how you got a lot of things going on and still made time to help Gina out with her property. So let's take a roll call. Melanie, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit more, tell the audience what you do.
So Melanie Blankenship, owner of Nature's Touch, Nursery and Harvest, also Nature's Neighbor podcast that is, all produced right here in the same studio with our
Produced
friend,
by EZF Media.
Yes, right. Our boy Miguel here. And so also the owner of Nature's Farm, in collaborations with Creston Valley Meads. I have a lot of hats that I wear every day. But it's all in a symbiotic circle. So, to carry all these hats, it's not about me. It's about the possibilities of what I can connect and be a part of to keep that whole symbiotic circle going, right? So, the biggest thing about agriculture is how misunderstood it really is. So instead of just being a farmer way back when, I said, oh my goodness, so many people have no idea what it takes to get that heirloom tomato, that lavender flower, or, just all of that. And I have been blessed by being the fourth generation to Paso Robles, both sides, mom and dad, that I have been exposed to people that you could only dream of, to be able to walk beside them and learn from them. And that's also what this community is about. I mean, people come and go in this community a lot, but there's a lot of people that have come and invested and stayed here, and they've learned from being here. They learn from the soil here, and that's what they shared with me. And instead of thinking I needed to reinvent the wheel, I learned from them to carry it on. So that is me. I'm here to, yes, I charge to consult, right? But it's not about making $1 million today. It's about making $1 million over a lifetime to sustain myself with that. I'll be honest with you, Gina has paid me, I think, at times more than I deserve, but hey, at the same time, she's also
the number, but
no, but this is the same thing as she's still paying me because I like to be able to see her succeed. I mean, this is how many years ago that you started with the idea of Hambly?
2019.
Yeah. So, okay. So just recently bought a bunch of plants for me because they started the pollinator hedgerows and being a beneficial, it's not just about lavender. It's got to be about the whole thing. So it's a lifetime of, teaching and connecting and being a part of it. So yeah, when, Gina and Milton reached out to me right before 2019 was, they come out and help us with your property. I've heard that you do this. I've heard you've done it for other people. Can you come out and give us an idea? Like, what could we do? And it is, when I walked out onto that property a couple months ago, it was freezing cold, but I was super excited because I got to hold a new puppy in my jacket. I was so, to see it come to fruition. I had been seeing it in steps, but seeing the maturity of your farm is like, I look at it and go, dang, I must have known what I was doing. No. Just kidding.
You did give a good foundation to start with, for sure.
I did. And it's because I remember going, lavender. I remember the time we were standing on that hill overlooking where the, what are those big ball things out there? Satcom things. And I'm like, olives, I'm like, lavender. Can you imagine seeing rows of, and I'm standing there looking at it going, oh my gosh, it's breathtaking. It's absolutely stunning. And the thing is that's what makes our community special like it is. You dream it. You have the willpower. You have the want, the desire to do it. Guess what? It can happen. I mean, there's nothing I can envision right now. If you threw something at me in the agriculture, food, growing, just the growing world, if you threw something at me right now, some things, the infrastructures cost a lot. So, you might have to spend a little bit of money. But at the same time, you don't have to have it done today. You can build it over time, right? Where it'll actually, save a little bit of money. But at the same time, I can't think of anything that can't be done here. So that's who I am. That's what got us started. And I am just super honored that, again, I'm here with you. And this is like a dream. Like, this is super fun to be able to
full circle almost.
See him build his business, invest in him, and be a part. Look at how cute this studio is, right? And I'm getting to hang out with you in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon.
Right.
Sometimes
we need that check to realize how good we have it, and all of the really cool, great things we get to do.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's great. It's funny. I think I was mentioning somebody else. One of the sponsors of the show is Wave Water Wellness. So there's a water for you if you want. It's in the blue bottle. She has this machine that pretty much zaps the water pretty much, splits it in two. You have good drinking water and then acidic water to water plants or whatever. I'll teach you more about that afterwards. Okay. But I was talking to her. I was like, oh, that's this person. I think she knows you somehow. It's a small world. And I'm just like, oh my God. So when when I had you on the podcast, I think 2 or 3 episodes in, and then she was looking for somebody or Melanie was looking for somebody to open up redo a show. She's like, yeah, I got on just when your episode went public. Oh. She's like, I started to listen. It's like, oh, I know her. I'm the person who did this. And I know you
perks.
And then you mentioned, Melanie on the podcast too. So I'm like, of course it's gonna happen. It's just it's like.
Yeah, she's part of our story.
Manifest destiny, whatever it's called, but
small town living.
Small town
living. Mm-hmm. Gina, I guess your turn. What do you introduce yourself to the audience? Anybody who's new to listening to is going to learn more today. So
yes, so we're Hambly Lavender Farm, and I'm Gina Hambly. My husband Milton and I and our kids, we're family run. We have, we grow lavender. We're now involved in planting a lot of pollinators out there. And so a lot of flowers coming up this year. So I have a little more to harvest when you come out. We have a little over 4,500 plants on the property. We grow 9 different varieties of lavender. And if you can imagine walking out in the field and seeing a football field size of lavender rows that you get to walk through, scent, it's just the smell, the wide open spaces, because beyond the lavender, you've got the olive orchards, the grapes. Camp Roberts is behind it with the golden hills and oaks. So the views are absolutely stunning. So we have really gotten into agri-tourism the last couple of years. This year we open for the season on Mother's Day, which is a week and a half away. If that's not on your radar, check out and get something for your moms. But we open on that day. Saturday's the Olive and Lavender Festival. I'm the chair of that event. And so that's coming along really nicely. We've sold out vendor booths, and that's very exciting. Expecting a big turnout for that. Rolling into our opening day on Sunday, where we're going to be offering mini tours. If you come out, you pick some lavender. We also craft handmade, high quality ingredient body and home products. We use local ingredients as much as possible, supporting our other farms, all clean ingredients. And speaking to that, we don't use any pesticides, chemicals, or herbicides on our plants and property as well, just because we want to keep all of that natural and good for your skin and body when you're consuming that. We started in 2019. Like Melanie said, we brought her out and we walked around, and people ask us, how did you get into this? We're like, it's all Melanie's fault.
Darn it.
But we also say that we could grow like things like garlic, and it would smell much different at our house. So, and our neighbors are glad we chose lavender. So,
what are some examples of bad plants to not plant, like as far as smell wise?
Well, it depends on what what you like. I mean, the smell. Your nose knows, right? Your nose, if your nose likes it, your brain's going to like it, right? Like, that's how it works. I mean, there's people in this community that don't like my favorite plant, which is cannabis. I love that plant. You want to know why I love that plant? Because all that plant does is gives. You plant it, it produces, it's medicine. Yes, it's abused, but it is medicine, right? There's a lot of neighbors that don't like other neighbors that are growing it. I mean, there's, they're understanding what, the plant is going to do, the purpose of the plant is going to do. It's all in understanding what you're trying to market, what you're trying to do. In my mind, there is no bad plant, even, poison. I'm going to find a justification for poison oak. I have it all down the side of my leg. It's like a given, right? No, I'm not going to. I went hiking on Sunday on our ranch, and of course, I got to get it. It's this time of the year. I always think I stayed out of it. I went and washed up with Dawn dish soap. I did all my thing, but nope, I have it. So I'm going to even say like the purpose of poison oak, right? Yeah. There's not a better pollinator out there. The nectar source that poison oak provides is hands down one of the top. And so it's funny because I just like that plant so much for what it does to me. But look, I found a justification of somewhere finding a mutual agreement of you stay there, I stay here, and we'll keep it good. But oops, I went there, so it got on me. So, there isn't a bad plant, I don't think. It's just, there's a lot of plants that are misunderstood. There's a lot of plants that are misplaced that people want to call weeds. But plants talk to us. Mm-hmm. You can read plants. People ask me, why did you choose that? Or why did you, suggest that plant? The first thing that Milton and Gina talked to me about was this open space, right? And it was like they wanted to have something that they enjoyed, that wasn't like a huge labor intensive. Everything's labor, right? But it wasn't a huge labor. They wanted something to give color. I remember when you guys talked about that. And, beauty. And I mean, of course, it was lavender. Lavender is not a California native, but it's Mediterranean, and it loves our soil. It's so funny to me how people look at open plots of land that nothing is growing, right? Or they think weeds are growing, that nothing can grow there. The first thing I did, Gene, when I drove onto your driveway was read your soil by what weeds were growing there. And the first thing I thought of was the wind blows. There's nothing compared to 3:00 in the afternoon on San Miguel afternoons. And that is where I was like, okay, we need to find a plant that can structure to this soil ideally. And then the biggest thing in my mind when I go out and consult any project is how do I teach or how do I show them how to be resourceful? Because the biggest thing that we all talk about all the time is running out of water. And my thing is yes, irrigation is needed when those plants get growing. But as you start to get of age, you notice that you're cutting back, but you're also mulching, you're doing stuff. We're retaining that moisture into the soil because of that 3:00 San Miguel wind.
Yeah, we're learning a lot about regenerative farming now too. And we've always kind of farmed that way. We don't use anything outside of what's natural to the area, right? So we took the stems that have already been spent, put them back out into the fields after we've rototilled, help keep that moisture in, put nutrients back in the ground, and it's all natural. So that's keeping everything just pure as it can be.
Plus, it makes it smell good.
Well, that too, yeah. It's always nice perk. But to answer your question too, to add to that, some people don't like lavender.
Yeah.
It's really funny because it's really a love-hate. There's not too much in between with lavender. Either they're allergic to it and it gives them a headache or a rash or something, or they just want to roll in it and love it and take it home. So there's not too much. So I think that there's always somebody who's not going to like something about something. So just everybody's different. Their body compositions are made up differently. And they ask us that about essential oils that we distill also, because we distilled 4 different varieties last year. And they asked me what my favorite is and which one they should get. And I always tell them, smell them and see which one resonates with you, because that's what your body needs. And then they kind of look at me and after they smell them and go through it, then they understand. So it's all just what your body needs and learning to listen to that.
But lavender is also a medicine. And people, I mean, it's not just a flower. It's not just a plant. It is medicine. Lavender calms the serotonins in your brain. So people that tend to be more on the mellow side of balanced, if their serotonins are not like me that have spikes that I'm like, woohoo, let's go, all the time. Yes, I sleep really well. That's why. So then when I'm awake, I'm like 0 to hero all the time. So lavender calms me. But yet people that too have a laid back kind of behavior or just kind of not overstimulated tend to react to lavender in a negative way because they don't need it, right? They don't need, and that's the thing, like, we have become such a marketed society, right? We're allergic or we don't like, or somebody told me I should do this or somebody told me I should do that. When instead we're supposed to, like I said, nose knows. Your nose knows, right? But your instincts know more. Your instincts are going to tell you what your body needs. There is a lot to be said about when you crave something sweet or crave something salty, or when you smell lavender and it just literally warms you, right? But then you can go get, Lavandula variegis, which is the yellow lavender, native to South Africa. It is so incredibly mentholy, and it's a yellow flower. It's kind of like the French flower. It's kind of puffy, but it's yellow. It is incredibly. You pinch a little bit of that, you smell that, it's going to entice all your senses, and it's going to send you over the top. So even though lavender is known for calming, not all lavenders are calming. So it's kind of crazy. Nature provides everything you need, but we just don't know how to read it or recognize it. And we're so marketed in our brains instead of allowing nature to take its course, allowing nature to read to us, letting nature take care of us. We've gotten away from that. So that's also where the black and white has come, is not understanding the person's own sense, right? So...
Yeah. I know one of the things we talked about during our episode was how it started and how Romans used to use it too, because they couldn't bathe all the time, so they used it to smell good. Like I that goes through my head all the time, like herbal teas. At what point did trial and error, right? How many people had to go through it and get hives or whatever because it didn't sit with them. But to a certain point, we all found, they found that green tea, black tea, all these other teas. Hey, if you put them in hot boiling water, they release something that's going to make you feel better. Do you guys even think about that, or is it just
all
me?
The time?
Yeah. And
the reason for me is to understand the soils or the earth and where we're from. We talk about, the northern hemisphere, central of the hemisphere, and the southern hemisphere, right? To understand how the sun affects each one of that regions of our world is also how oil flows or how things grow. Or, cherry tomatoes are going to do better in the northern hemisphere because they're shorter season, right? Cherry tomatoes don't need as long of heat days to be able to produce, where your medium and your large tomatoes need to be a little bit more southern so that they get more sun, right? So we know the earth is spinning, right? And we know that, our climate is northern. We know summer and winter and the axis change. But also understanding that, where people have naturalized, right? Plants also naturalize. Just like I said, lavender is not native to California, but it's Mediterranean. We have the Mediterranean climate. It grows well here, right? But at the same time, we haven't become accustomed to it. Lavender is a European herb, just like Salvia officinalis or garden sage or oreganos or rosemaries. These are all European herbs. but so is a lot of our seasonal fruits, right? Like peaches, nectarines, figs, those are all European fruits. And so we as a society in this country now have become accustomed to learn, our palates have been taught to eat European, right? Because, now a little bit more Asian influence, Mexican influence, South American influence. We're learning this with our different palates, but that's also how herbs have become a part of our culture because of, the trade winds and also barter and trade and the exposures to different things. Movement has happened. So it's over time, things have become exposed. But the craziness is like most Native Americans don't get poison oak. They can live amongst poison oak and not get it. They make poison oak tea. They eat manzanita berries. They eat snowberries. They eat coffee berries, right? We, as a society, American society, the import, societies of our world, don't eat that because we're not accustomed to that. We don't know that. And, I giggle because, we have white sage. Your white sage, it's still in my brain. She has the most beautiful white sage bush. Most people know as European sage as a culinary sage, but a distant cousin is the white sage. Why is the white sage not edible versus the garden sage? They're both sages, but it's because we don't have that accustomed to that palate. But the white sage is naturalized to our soil. It throws off a ton of nectar. It's spiritual burning, right? It's a purification, but guess what? European sage is also purifying. It cleans your blood. So drinking that as a tea, as an herbal tea, helps clean your blood. Put a little cilantro in that tea, which is American. You're going to pull out heavy metals out of your system. That's
because of iron, right?
Yes, that's cilantro pulls things out of your blood. So put that together. Look at that herbal tea that you just had. I mean, that's like magic right there. But yet, natively, we don't eat native plants. I literally just had this discussion with the rare fruit tree growers because I'm like, look at us. We're all talking about European fruits. Why aren't we talking about California native fruits? And everybody goes, well, what are they? I'm like, how about the California black walnut? How about the California blackberry? How about the snowberry? California blackberry is a little seedy, but it's super good, but at the same time, we're not accustomed to that.
So there's this myth. I don't know how true it is, but there's this movie. I can't remember the actors, but he was a young boy. He was like a baseball player or something, and he somehow went back in time to like the Knights, and he like the Knights Round Table, whatever. And he started making a hamburger, and they didn't know hamburgers back in the day, right? Like, so he used the tomatoes. Like, oh, that's poisonous. Is there a myth to that, or is that true?
No, it's not a myth. Most Native Americans thought that white people that brought their tomatoes from Europe were the devil because they ate plants that bloomed and ripened at night. You don't eat by the moon, you eat by the sun. The sun is the energy, the sun is the light, right? That is the rebirthing, right? We all know this in beekeeping. Taught you this in beekeeping, Gina. So, but at the same time, it's also understanding, tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, tobacco, potatoes. Those are all nightshades. They all bloom and ripen at night. So they need nighttime soil temperatures, nighttime atmosphere temperatures to bloom. So the craziness about this is if you actually understood the nightshades, they do produce a lot of carbs, a lot of sugar. I mean, tomato is one of the highest sugared fruits out there. Remember, guys, if it contains a seed, it's a fruit. Okay. So I love that with my first and second grader, what's your favorite fruit? And then they'll say strawberries or, all that. And then, what's your favorite vegetable? Tomato. Nope. It's a fruit, so, I love that. But yes, the Native Americans, most Native American, I lived with a Navajo Indian when I was in college. Her name was Latana. She was an awesome woman. Came right off the Navajo reservation in Tuba City. And yes, they thought we were crazy because I ate a tomato. So, it's common and it's not, normal to have it. But, it's just like cantaloupes. Cantaloupe, right? The ribbed rind cantaloupe is native to the North American continent. The honeydew, no ribbed on the outside, smooth skin, native to the European continent. What do you think is native to the Asian continent, you two? Cucumber.
You know what? Okay, I was about to say that.
Cucumber melon. Remember cucumber. But an American cucumber is a hybrid. It's a hybrid between a squash and a cucumber. So this American slicing, you have to peel it, the one that hurts your tummy. Mm-hmm. The ones that don't hurt, burpless, the soft-skinned ones, that's actually considered a cucumber, but it's also a Asian melon, native to the Asian continent.
Are you going to talk about all this at the Know Your Soil class that we're teaching at the farm this summer?
Yeah, of course. Because how do you not talk about soil when you can't talk about what's going to grow in there? And knowing that soil temperature and census is all what this class is about. If you can dig a round nose shovel in, pull that soil out, and you can read it in your hand, there is not any more knowledge you need in your life, because you understand that is life. That is your life. That's where your endocrine system, that's where your circulatory system, that's where your nervous system is. That's where everything is. And as long as that life is balanced and flourishing, everything above that, reproductive, is going to happen. Reproductive cannot happen in that plant if that soil is not balanced. But you got to know your senses. What does it smell like? What does it feel like? We might get into what does it taste like, but I might not be showing them how to. But your nose will know, right? You don't have to taste it because your nose will know, but it's realistically about smell. It's about feeling, and what does it look like?
Okay, I was going to say, so you're going to, I'm guessing you'll talk about, everybody's going to bring a shovel of their own soil. Mm-hmm. This class is happening out at our farm on June 22nd. Okay. And so Melanie's going to talk to people about what's in your backyard. What are you growing? What do you want to grow? And bring a bucket of your soil or a shovel of your soil in the Ziploc bag, and let's take a look at it.
Make sure, for all the ones that are listening, if you bring me multiples, let's identify them, okay? Put them in a Ziploc bag, right? Identify it. Raised bed number 1, backyard in back corner.
Front yard, backyard,
front
side.
yard. Yeah, let's put that out there because it's important. We need to identify it, because I love all these people that come with their bags and they bring me all this stuff and they're like, I can't remember where I pulled that one from. I'm like, that might not be good here, guys. So let's make sure that we identify where it's coming from, right? And then I will teach you the rest.
I have a really good example. I'm really excited I hope we get to have the class where this is. So I put 2 troughs in on either side of the barn doors this summer, and I want to plant mint because I want to distill it. Wonderful for digestion, right? Mm-hmm. So I got plants from Clearwater Color Nursery and planted them on either side at the exact same day. The difference is I took soil out of where the pigs, goats, and chickens were, and I put that in one trough, and in the other I went and got Bark and Miracle Grow and put it in the other. So 2 completely different troughs of dirt, and planted the exact same time. I got the plants from the exact same grower. The plants in Miracle Grow have not grown. They're this big.
Can you tell you why?
Well, in a minute. The plants that were in the soil from where all of the animals were are this big. They're 12 to 14 inches tall. And so it's really great to see and looking at the difference. Yeah. And where they've grown and where they haven't grown. Okay, so Melanie, now you can tell us why.
So Miracle Grow was that blue product, right? Was a byproduct from a plastic manufacturing company in the 1970s. And instead of that company calling and destroying that product or putting it into a treatment facility that should have been able to handle it properly, and they were supposed to call hazmat for it, right? No. They called a chemist and a marketing firm and said, how do I sell this stuff? Because we can't afford to call hazmat in. And know today that most commercial farmers or farmers that are permitted, legal, and can go out in agriculture would never use Miracle Grow because we know that stuff kills your soil. Mm-hmm. And so, the stuff that is allowed to be sold over the counter is not the same of what most of us farmers are doing. So I avoid anything that says Miracle Grow on it because I understand the byproduct in which my dollar, if I were to go buy that, my dollar would be going to support when it's not supposed to be in soil. Miracle Grow has been marketed so well. And this is, again, my proof that marketing works, right? You just got to keep on it. Right. Obviously, that's what we're doing right now. But the thing is about this is the fact that the other companies that are invested in with Miracle Grow, knowing that the moment you start to use that, you then killed your soil, killed the life of your soil. And then you're going to need pharmaceuticals to be able to survive and to keep going. So when that soil is dead and you start getting, bouts of nitrogen and, imbalances in the soil, what's going to start happening? Then you're going to start getting aphids. You're going to start getting whitefly. You're going to start getting ants and mealybugs and all these bugs that are going to destroy your plant, right? Well, what are you going to do? You're going to go and buy the next insecticide, pesticide. Oh, I just sprayed it with soapy water. What do you think that is? What do you think soap is? It's still a chemical. And what you just did is you just killed your any beneficials that might have still been there that would then come in and eat those bad bugs. You just killed them too. So you threw your whole balance off. Instead of being where you have something that is naturalized, that is going to break down, you are familiar with it and you know exactly what's in it. Aeration is going to work for your natural soil. Aeration over a huge long period of time and continuously movement of that soil of miracle grow is the only way you're going to ever get that to break down. But that's years it's going to take to get that miracle grow to break down.
I would just put it in a trough as an example.
And you got
it was controlled.
It is controlled area.
Yeah, and it's good. And I want
that.
that too, because we do need to teach this. It's not, yes, I choose this. This is why I choose this. I choose this based on my knowledge and education and experience from being in this world as long as I have. But I'm not going to say it's wrong for you, okay? Because this is I want you to choose. I want you to take all into perspective like I did, right? But at the same time, my way is not the only way. I respect, I love, and I understand. And we keep going, right? Yep. I now know how to break that down and work with it. So because so many people have used it, that's where my energy was put into to learn how to break it down.
Well, I have a feeling that conversation is going to happen at Know Your Soils because a lot of people go to get it because they think that's what they're supposed to do, right? Yep. Put these nutrients in their soil that way, and so
and that
is and I'm open to that discussion.
Yeah, that's a result from marketing. You said they hired a marketing and a chemist to figure this out and sell it to people. So now it's instilled in people that they have to go get Miracle Grow, and you guys are pretty much just like trying to reverse that whole experiment yourselves. How are you guys documenting this besides showing people like when they get there?
Why do you think I'm here with you?
I mean, yeah, that's
example number one.
A good way.
Example
number one. You have your own show as well.
Yes.
That's another way. And even yesterday when we were done with your live show, I was like, oh, the pollination. We should talk about more of that. And because she went like I kept her 5 more minutes just by mentioning pollination. But it was just one of those things where like, okay, it's just like anything else with the common folk of what they've been trained, how we grew up. It's I don't know if it's off base a little bit, but like when I was a kid, the McDonald's all had playgrounds, right, with ball pits. Now they don't. It's like they grew up with us to kind of keep us attached in a way. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Tricks are for kids. We can't see the fruit shapes anymore because when we were kids, we could. That's how they made them. And now they're circles instead of fruit. And like they're messing with our brains here.
That is honestly like an awesome description. I mean, that's like you could not get a better description than that.
Well, and we're very lucky in that we have the opportunity to have people come to the farm where we get to talk about how we farm, why we farm, and what we farm. And so as we go through our tours or guided experiences and we walk through the farm and we talk about what we use. We just use water. We just have the animals go out. And this is why they don't need it. And it's not good for you when you're ingesting it or putting it on your skin. And so the enlightenment, the understanding, and the questions that are asked, we get to share that. So we feel very fortunate that we're able to educate. Yeah. We come from, my husband's a teacher, so that is part of his nature. But sharing that information, and we have so many kids come and they're like, they ask questions about the eggs and where, where they come from and why they're different colors. And they ask us how we can harvest our swine, our pigs. But do you know where your food's coming from? I mean, that's a whole nother topic for another day, I guess. But just being able to educate that on the forefront as they come visit the animals and like, well, he won't be here next time. But we knew he had a good life. He ate well. And in turn, we're able to eat well. And then again, it's that enlightenment and that understanding. When you go to the grocery store, that was a pig at one point, and it did come from somewhere. So,
my thought is always like quality of life. it's not about just quantity and consumption. It's like I'm so at this point, and I always have been, but even more now than I ever have been.
Part of our age.
Oh, yeah. Well, can't believe we got here so fast, Gina.
I don't know, where it went.
Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, I look at things now in a completely different perspective in the value of what we've raised and how that life truly served a purpose, and I guess maybe I eat that way because that's how I want to look at myself. I want to look at myself as somebody that has put myself out there to be vulnerable, but at the same time to be accepting, to be nurturing, to be loving, to be kind. I want to be the example of what I'm doing and how I would want to be treated, right? I'm going to eat the way that I want my food to be raised. Mm-hmm. And so that's become so a part of me. And that's like, you've known me for how many years? Like I am that person. I am very outspoken. I am stubborn as all get out. I am that person that will never be afraid to stand up and fight for what is right. But at the end of the day, I am so incredibly blessed because there are so many incredibly kind and loving people that we have been surrounded by and experienced with, that's also what I want to give. And I know that we all have it.
Well, it's our turn to share that information, right? We got that from others growing up and being around and living in this area and learning that that's a good way to be. I think you get into a rat race and what you do on a day to day. And a lot of times you don't think about it. You just go grab something because it's quick, or you grab what's easy because you're busy and you have things to do. So when people come here to this area, they love it, right? They love the community. They love the way people talk. I mean, Miguel, you were asking like how long we've known each other, and we had to school
middle
together.
school. Because I went to private school in elementary, and then middle school. You were that age, and I was my age, but at the same time,
Where was I?
We've known each other a very long time.
You were really behind us.
Was I thought?
Yeah, probably not. Miguel, you're in your 30s, aren't you?
35.
Yeah, you know, you weren't even a thought, buddy. But at the same time, we all like, and this is also what I was talking with Clint, my husband, for a couple of days ago, how we didn't really know at times what people's ages were. For instance, I'm still just at a loss right now with the loss of Justin Davis.
I know.
And then I know you know about Richie Orcel. Like, I mean, these are people. Richie was my best man in our wedding. So like, that is how, like, I'm giving myself chills. And I'm not going to, okay. But we all grew up together. Yes, we know things that most people would die to know what we know. But at the same time, the memories, the experiences, the parties, the Lake Nacimiento, the Dodge Ridge, Lake Shasta. Like, I can go through
Hill.
I'm
Hair
waiting for
pie.
Franklin's Pond to pop up.
No,
at some point.
none of us wanted to smell that bad.
Oh, okay.
You know, so yeah, none of us were there.
No, Riverbed.
Okay, yeah, Riverbed. How about Water Tower?
Maybe we shouldn't give away all the secrets.
But you know what's sad? No. How about the fact that nobody will even know where they are because there's houses on them?
Yeah, that's what's funny.
You know, I mean, come on, like, and it's like,
where was it out in Templeton? And we used to go, and everybody used to say that it was
tabletop.
Yes,
tabletops. You know, where it's satanic.
Yes,
remember we all knew it was freaky. You know what it was? It was all because it was the oak trees.
Yes, all the oak trees.
Like, we were cool though. We were cool.
Yes, I remember driving out there and Mary and Tracy on the floor because they were scared, and I had to drive.
Yeah. Oh my God. See, look at it. We had our places. And that's
and a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh.
That you would probably get arrested for now.
Oh God, thank God for no cell phones.
No video.
Oh, no video. My husband would probably be in the federal pen. Sorry. We look at
Okay, bringing it back.
This is all of us though. Like, this is where I'm on my time to just share that I want to honor the time and the memories that all of us had with Justin Davis and Richie Orcel. These are two human beings that we have all grown up with since middle school, at least. If not, my husband and Richie and Justin were close in elementary school. And so they're like us. Like, Justin's dad was a lot of our dentist. So Carolyn, Justin's mom, had her beautiful farm out at San Marcos down the way from you. And my kids remember Carolyn from the mazes. You know, we loved her corn mazes because you actually got lost in them. and my kids would be screaming because their dad was telling them Molokai was coming out of the, Children of the Corn. Like literally San Marcos Road, like this is who the Davises were. They were like just those people that were always a part of the community and giving back. And then Justin came home and started his practice here. And no matter when you saw him, it was like no time passed. He always took the, he was a beautiful physician. I think pretty much the half of town Paso went to him. And I'm just like lost that he's gone. And Rich, Richie was the life of the party. He has done some things that you'd have to torture me to get out. But at the same time, and there's things that I'm just not proud of, but I'm at the same time, I'm so honored for the love and the friendship that has been formed between him and I, my children and him, my husband, my mother-in-law, my whole family. My mom died, and I don't even know to this moment how he found out. He didn't live in the state anymore. He was the second person that called me and told me he'd be on the next flight to be with me and Clint and my kids because he had heard that my mom had passed. Like that's... yes, he was our best man, but we didn't have to see him all the time. Mm-hmm. We didn't, I don't have to see Gina all the time, but I love her and I love Milton and their kids. And she knows if she ever needed me, obviously, if she ever needed me, she would just say, Melanie, I need you. Okay, Gina, I'd be right there. And so many of our people that we grew up with or that moved here and have become a part of us that we would do that for. Mm-hmm. And that's Paso. Yeah. That's always been Paso, and that will always remain Paso. Yes, my husband moved me to Templeton, but I am always Paso.
Yeah, and when you talk about certain people or and that's the goal for Paso Robles podcast for me, is to be able to document these things, these stories, and these backgrounds, and because you're right, Gina, people are just. Everything's so fast. They don't take the time to stop and smell the roses, so to speak, right? So when I'm talking to people and they're here, they're like, "Oh, I totally feel like," and they start venting, not venting, but really reminiscing, and they're like, it's almost like the therapy, right? When you're having a conversation with a friend,
it is therapy,
And coming to the Lavender Farm, 9 times out of 10, people get out of their car and they take a deep breath and they their whole body relaxes, and it's the first thing they say. I just relaxed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's not just the lavender, beautiful. It's the wide open space. Mm-hmm. And I often tell people that, when you open your door, when you live in a big city, you see your neighbor's door. Or you see your front lawn and then you see your neighbor's door.
Mm-hmm. You see concrete.
Yes. And so when you come out to the farm and you have a look and your eye can see as far as it can see, and it looks like a picture painting, and then you've got that scent of lavender in the air as well. It's just a calm, relaxing, just rejuvenating place to be.
Yep. Yeah. I agree. And that's honestly what we've all created. I think, to create Nature's Touch Nursery and Harvest was my island, to be able to hang out with all of us good people and honor and cherish the hard work of farmers and food producers. And that's, when I drive into the driveway of that store still, it's like, yes, there's anxiety of the business, right? I know we all have
different sides, yeah.
2 different sides. But then right now, it's so beautiful because the nursery's full. Fruits are starting to come on. It's there's this sense of peace. There's this sense of feeling like, okay, here we go again. There's the next season. And I can't get stressed because before I know it, it's going to be another season. And so it's just keeping it going. And that's the farm. That's, everything we do around here. It's like...
Well, I think this time of year is really great, too, because everything's starting to wake up. Like you said, the nursery's full. Everything's a bright green color. The lavender, same thing, is just waking up. Blooms are on early this year, about a month earlier than years past. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just kind of another sign of that rejuvenation and restart and fresh. And it gets everybody excited and ready to get going. Real quick, back to the pollinators. Melanie's doing a bee class out at the farm too. We have about 5 tickets left for that. That's it. We've sold all of them. Everybody's very excited about the bees and learning about the bees. We're getting ready to do our second installation on the pollinator grant we got. So we'll have to talk and see what you got in stock over there.
Yep. Trying to get Matilla poppies. Still trying to get Matilla poppies. It's so hard right now.
Well, I don't know. We might be switching over to some pomegranates and some flannel bush.
Okay,
and
good. I have beautiful flannel bush.
I saw it when I was over there the other day.
It's like so incredibly stunning. It's like it's a plant that just you do literally put it in the ground and put a little water to it. Okay, just put it in native soil, a little bit of water, and it just all it does is performs. It is this beautiful, perfect, flat, yellow, bright yellow flower, and all it does is bloom. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't even have an ugly stage. Mm. You know how like when in some plants when the flowers dies it has an ugly stage? No ugly stage. And I that's honestly when I drove in the driveway of the parking lot at Nature's Touch, what catches my eye, I'm like, oh my God, could you get any brighter? Like it's that kind of stunningness that it just so beautiful. But yeah, so pollinators, people think of pollinators as these plants that, just bloom. But it's not even just about that. It's also understanding how their leaves drop and how they create leaf litter so that lady beetles can, lay their eggs underneath them. Understanding how, pollen, certain types of pollen is actually what beneficials are going for, not the nectar. Nectar is where bees are going to go for and butterflies. But different types of beneficial insects like lady beetles, lacewing larvae, different types of microscopic wasp. These are these beneficial insects that we all need to honor, protect, and really use as the purpose that they're there. They are there to get us out of trouble. Mm-hmm. When the soil is imbalanced, and instead of allowing a bad bug to suck all the sugar and make those leaves go yellow or make the plant go weak, beneficials come in and destroy that habitat of bad bugs, but they also need habitat. They need the pollen. They need that leaf litter to be able to create their habitat so that they're stronger. Yes, there's companies like Rincon Vitova Insectaries that I do a lot of business with. They're my egg providers of beneficials. Their website is awesome. And also they're one of my tools in my toolbox. I call them for anything. Like, guys, my plant is doing this, blah, 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 blah. Okay, Mel, you need to do this and plant this and do this. I mean, I don't know what I would do without those guys. So, yes, I can get beneficial eggs, but it's the important things is creating that habitat that we can then promote them to stay there. So we don't have to keep spending money to keep things going, right? The other thing is to understand that, yes, bees are the number one pollinator of most fruits, but not all plants are pollinated by bees. Bees want to pollinate things that are up and high or flowers that open up, not down, or, tubular, or, just different ways. Milkweed. Milkweed is not pollinated by bees. Milkweed is pollinated by butterflies. And so that's where, understanding that each flower carries its own characteristics of what is going to attract that beneficial too. So, European bees only keep their, they want their open flower, but they also only store their honey above the soil. California native bees put their honey below the soil. So to understand even that's why we don't harvest California honeybee, because how are we going to get it clean out of the soil, right? So European or Northern Hemisphere bees actually put their honey, probably because the soil is too cold. I don't know that, but I'm assuming. But that's why they store their honey above the soil. So, understanding too, it's like they have their own certain type of flower. But, I've gotten in arguments with, certain beekeepers and botanists, that say that there's no way that a bee can pollinate a certain open flower or tubular flower. I'm sorry, when you're out in nature and you're witnessing it at firsthand, maybe they're not pollinating it, but they're getting something out of it. And it's crazy to watch things mutate. For instance, olive trees that, like the Wilsonis that don't produce fruit, are not supposed to produce fruit. I have a lady that planted 300 Wilsoni olive trees down her driveway. I don't want the mess. I don't want the fruit. Well, then her neighbor put 6 bee boxes on her property. Well, the bees kind of manipulated the Wilsonis, and she's our number one customer at our small olive press every November because the Wilsonis went like 10 years with no production. And now all of a sudden the bees have manipulated it. And guess what? The sterilization did not work for those trees because the bees manipulated it. So this is what I'm saying. It's fascinating all the time.
I don't know how you keep all this information in your brain.
I was about to say something along those lines. So
Sorry.
when you're walking
I
around,
told you, 0 to hero.
so when you walk around and you're looking at all these like plants and trees, like when you said like going up the driveway, you're already testing the soil, right? So,
I read her soil when I was driving.
You read her soil, and I can only imagine Gina like opening the doors. Like, what are you, what are you doing out there? But do you have all this information? You're constantly practicing it, right? Is it hard to turn it off? Do you ever turn it off? Or is that I'm just
you need to ask my husband that. I have no problem. I mean, I do. I will never deny I'm a person that suffers from anxiety. I get overstimulated and my brain won't shut off. I will. But I'm also that person that knows the symptoms. I can sense it in my, I go for a walk, I go and lay out on a side of a hill and have my dogs, stalk me and tackle me, beat me up so badly that I'm just like, oh, well, I can't have anxiety anymore. I'm sore because they just rolled me down the hill, or I have baby emus in a spare bedroom in my house because the barn was too cold. I'm that kind of person. So, or, somebody's struggling in their life and I'm like, well, do you need a place to live? Yeah. Okay. Well, I have an extra bedroom. Come live with me and I'll teach you. And that's who I am. So before I allow the anxiety or the anxiousness or the nervousness or this depression, right? I'll never deny I suffer from it. I really had it with the loss of my mother. I'm familiar with the symptoms now where I know I need to divert, I need to change a direction, and usually plants, animals, and my family, my children and my husband are my cure, So I know that in life when I get going too much and I don't have enough of Clint Blankenship, as soon as I get a little bit of him, I'm usually back to center, No. He's that person that does, he knows me. And that's why I say you maybe need to ask him because I am that person where, my kids tell me all the time, Mom, put horse blinders on. Don't look. Or, oh, we're going to Paso. Put a bag over our head. I'm like, why? And they're like, Mom, don't talk. Don't, you see that person? Mom, just say hi and keep walking. So I'm like, but I haven't seen them in like 10 years. Mom, how do you even recognize them? Like, because,
you just do. You'll know
just
one
do.
day.
Yeah. So yes, I turn it off, but I can't with this and I don't want to, I tell everybody I have to live until I'm 150 years old, at least to see things come into fruition of seeds that I have planted, plants that I have planted, projects that I have started. Like, this is who I am. I have too much to live for to allow myself to slow down.
Yeah.
Too much to do.
Too much to do.
Too much to do. Too much, too much to observe. Too much to grow. Too much to teach. All that fun stuff. And so you guys have known each other since a very long time. I'm not going to say the years.
I'm turning 50 next week. I'll just say it. Yeah, May 8th. I'm turning 50, Jane.
Well, I'm 2 years older than you.
I know, but that's okay.
Clint was in my class.
Yep, I know. I married older. I can't believe I'm turning 50. Like, literally, the only thing I can say about 50 is that, dang, that came fast.
I would have to say that too. I'd have to say, like, before 50, I felt like you were climbing and you're always thinking about what you're going to do. And then you hit 50 and now you're like, okay, now what do I want to do? Because you're no longer like going to choose a career. You're not going to be choosing what, where you're going to, I guess you can move and change, but I don't know. It's like, for me, it was all these changes and all this adventure and looking forward so much. When I hit 50, it was like, all right, now it's the countdown instead of the count up. And we got to choose where we want to go, what we want to do, where are we going to vacation, what do I want to accomplish? Because now it's just a shorter period. You just don't know.
The hustle's different.
Well, absolutely. I think that's a great way to sum it up. But I think Justin and Richie both have made me realize, like, there is no guarantee tomorrow. And you live like there is before you're 50. Like, you just think you're looking 10 years down the road, you're looking 20 years down the road. And then you hit our age and then people that we know so closely are starting to pass or things are happening. And then you're like, wait a minute, I need to take that vacation. I need to go talk to that person. I need to do the things because there's just not a guarantee. In my life too, it's like up until this point, like my children are 22 and 19, right? I noticed that I am the different, like all I want to do now is hold on
to the infrastructure, enjoy and be a part of anything I can, because my children are now stable. Their growth is different. They're continuously growing. But to see that come into fruition now is like such an honor. But like, I want to stay healthy. I want to stay active. I want to keep things going just to watch them carry it on. Like, I can't believe we're here. But at the same time, it's like every stage has had its fair share of challenges, but so many rewards.
Isn't it fun to watch them be adults?
It is.
To see them be adults.
I know. And like when yours got married, I was like,
Two now. Two of mine are married.
That's right.
2 out of 3.
Oh my
One more to go. Avery's graduating college here in a couple weeks, so that's exciting. Number 3. So we keep saying we're on the countdown to the biggest promotion we've ever had. 3 kids off the payroll.
Awesome. That is awesome. But and to see them grow, and
watch them become humans that you're proud of, and it's like, I did my job. I did a good job, and I'm really proud of all of them. And all the things they're doing, it's really cool to watch.
So cool.
Yeah, and be a part of their lives, and then want to be a part of ours.
Yep.
That's the true test right there.
Yep. And I in this show, from the bottom of my heart, but I want this to always be out there. Thank you. Thank you for always being you. Thank you for caring about me and what we've done. And I can't tell you how excited, proud I am to see what you and Milton have built and are doing now. It's like I see social media once in a while, and it's like I have to stop, and then or I get yours or Milton's texts are way more entertaining, Jane. I'm just gonna tell you,
he's quite humorous.
Yes. Okay, so yours is business. Milton's is like, Mel, look at this, and I'm like, oh God, I love it. Like, just like so. Thank you. Well, that's all.
I appreciate that. It's kind of been fun to watch, and thank you for all your help along the way. You're part of our story, and we tell it every time we do a guided experience, or somebody comes out and asks us how we got started. And we always tell them, well, I'm 4th generation here. My husband's 5th generation. So we went to high school here, so we know a lot of people. So I called up Melanie. We went to high school together. I said, well, can you come out here and help us figure out what we're going to grow here? Because we grew up here, but we weren't in farming at the time. We didn't grow up in that way. My brother and sister did. They had animals and things. I didn't. I was too worried about how my outfit looked rather than what animal I was going to be raising.
She was dressed really cute.
And when my mom had a dress shop downtown,
Yeah.
I mean, it was expected, right? So I called up Melanie and bring her out, and we walked the property, and that's just kind of how it started. And that, in combination with a couple other farms that were not doing the same things anymore, or selling and retiring, and we found a good niche, and that was just her kind of thought process, her idea that we kind of took and ran with. And
tell people, reach out.
Thank you for Miguel as well for having me here today. I appreciate it. It's been fun chatting with both of you. And speaking of getting older and time going by fast and lots of things to do, I think we've hit our time frame here. Have we?
Yeah, I appreciate you guys coming in and reminiscing in front of me, and I just enjoy watching it. It's just one of those things where, like, this is the whole purpose of the podcast. It's not interview, it's a conversation. And you guys are a perfect example of that today, so thank you guys.
You're very welcome, Miguel, and keep it up, buddy. I am so honored to show you off in a way, and do this, the moment we had our conversation, I was just, you had me.
Well, my name is Miguel. You made that connection with the other Miguel.
Oh, God. And Miguel, my inside plant manager at Creston is Miguel. And I couldn't do what I'm doing without that Miguel. But I'm going to be honest, he always sends me, there's something on social media that says, only Miguel's can. So I thought of you the other day because he was like, do you have a Miguel? Because only Miguel can. And I'm like, I have two.
Tune in on Mondays on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, because we figured out how to go live. And if you text her or find or email her, you can actually ask to be on the show, because we can do remote guests.
Yeah.
So we can start working that in. And then also reach out to Gina and set up a tour, because you guys are going to be wide open Very, very soon.
Yes, open on Mother's Day. Then we'll be open Thursday through Monday, through all the way through Labor Day. You can come out and you pick anytime between 10 and 4. The guided experiences will be on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Lots of great workshops we're offering this summer as well. In fact, Melanie's doing a couple of them. Like we said, the Know Your Bees and Know Your Soil. We also are doing Life Elements in Atascadero is doing a CBD foot soak for us, which I think we have 4 tickets left for that one. So that one's almost sold out, which is, I can't wait to have that one. That's going to be great too. They're all going to be good. 805 Social is doing a sip and paint. We tried really hard to partner again with others to bring them in to put on a really good experience, but also again, just a friend of mine says rising tides raise all ships. And if we work together, then we can all succeed. And so that's really what we try to focus on in collaboration and coordination and all of the C words that are fun, like those.
It's awesome to see it. It's pretty awesome. Keep it
We
up,
live in an
Gina.
amazing area. I've never been experienced this anywhere else where people are so willing to help you succeed.
Yeah.
No,
So we
that's
try
true.
to pass that along with that same.
Love it. Thank you, Miguel.
Thank you.